There's very poor road networks in Lagos. So what kind of innovative engineering strategies do we need in those kind of places to ensure that we're able to build and ensure a sustainable and a smart city development? From unreliable electricity to poor road networks, rapid urbanization, and climate resilience, these challenges in Africa are no news. Yet we often overlook the people behind these solutions, who are the engineers. Hello and welcome to today's edition of Policy on the Go, coming to you from Green TV. We turn our attention today to a sector that is often overlooked when we talk about sustainable development, and that is the engineering sector. While conversations around sustainability frequently center on policy, finance, and activism, one crucial element that holds everything together is the technical expertise and innovation that engineers bring to the table. And just last week, the world celebrated World Engineering Day, with UNESCO's theme hinged on unleashing the power of engineers to advance sustainable development goals, that is. But the question is, how often do we actually stop to acknowledge the roles that engineers play in tackling global challenges? So today we're diving into how much of a role engineering really does play in shaping Africa's sustainable future, with engineer Dr. Nelson Chuks Ebu, a Colonel Registered Engineer with a PhD in Chemical Engineering. It's very good to have you join us on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Tony. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So we'll get straight into the conversation now. As we saw just last week, the World Engineering Day was celebrated, and under the UNESCO's theme was for this year is unleashing the power of engineers to advance the SDGs, like I said earlier. So first of all, the first question I want to ask is how much of a role, because usually it might not be something a lot of people would pay attention to in this particular sense. So how much of a role does engineering play in building towards the sustainable development goals that we have? How can engineering as a sector and engineers help tackle the global challenges that we see today in the movement towards sustainable development?
Okay, we know, engineering is a practice, that uses the principles of science to create solutions for the benefit of mankind. So the role we play is that whatever SDG that we've identified, we must think of solutions to tackle them, from the issues of hunger to poverty to clean energy to infrastructure. So the mix is huge, but the challenges are also there. But from developing efficient energy solutions to energy storage systems, developing fuel and electrolytic solutions, to agri, and to even precision agriculture, every aspect of it is geared towards ensuring that all the SDGs are met. From 1 to the 17 of it, engineering has created solutions for each and every one of them. It is important to know that the challenges that every SDG poses has solutions, engineering solutions, to better, the life of humanity. We have developed solutions for decent work and economic growth. We have developed solutions to innovation and infrastructural development. We have developed solutions, to ensure that communities, are sustained and there's responsible climate change and climate actions. We have developed solutions that will ensure that there's life, a good life below the sea and even above the sea. We have developed solutions that will help government, to create a lasting goodwill for humanity to thrive. That is where engineering plays. So we're celebrating engineering because there is this mix that engineering brings to ensure that there's zero hunger, zero poverty, in life. So we are really providing solutions, and as we progress in this course, I begin to share a lot of it that we are providing, to make the world a better place through engineering solutions.
Okay, yeah, you've spoken a bit about developing solutions, and of course, without a doubt, there's a lot that goes into the engineering sector in that particular aspect. But of course, when we look at the African context of it, it's not news that Africa is lacking behind in proper infrastructure. You spoke about, especially when it comes to the communities that have been marginalized and the most vulnerable. There's a lot of infrastructure that is lacking there, so the question is, since we have this situation in Africa, do you think this is because we lack the essential, because you've spoken a bit about solutions that you've developed, so do you think that the reason why we have some marginalized communities that don't have proper infrastructure in terms of health, education, proper road networks and all of that, do you think it's because they lack the essential engineering solution to bridge those gaps, especially in the marginalized communities like the villages and all of those places that are not yet urbanized? Why is this the case that we have some certain places, especially in Africa, that don't have the proper infrastructure?
Okay, I think what is lacking, like I shared, is not the solution. What we lack is that collaboration. When the policies are made to help these marginalized communities to come out of the state where they are in terms of poverty, hunger, and clean energy, there's this collaboration that is required so that the people who are involved, stakeholders who are involved, will leverage on the solutions available for these communities. The collaboration in terms of knowing what these communities actually need, because you cannot begin to provide water solutions to a community that needs energy solution. We shouldn't be providing other solutions as against what these people need. So we must be able to have that collaboration between these marginalized communities to know what they actually need so that we can tailor our solutions to help them. So that is key. One is collaboration. Another one is to build the capacity of these people to use these solutions.
So sorry, I want to when you say, sorry, I want to just stop you there. When you say collaboration with what, with who exactly, or what? Are we talking the government or fellow engineering sectors in other places? When you say collaboration with what particular aspect are we looking at in that term?
Okay. What I mean is all the stakeholders involved. You mentioned marginalized communities. First of all, we want to know their basic need. A farmer, for example, who needs storage facility for his or her farm products will need a storage facility. So we must know the needs of these marginalized communities. These are the policies that government is making. So that collaboration is both for the solution providers who are engineers in this context, the government who are funding these provisions, and the people in the communities who need these facilities or who need these solutions. So like I mentioned, for example, a farmer has perishable goods. He needs storage facilities. The farmer needs water so that he can have continual farming. So this is talk about seasonal farming, probably because the rainfall is not consistent or continuous. So we have provided solutions to ensure that, for example, water can be available all year round for the farmer. So the farmer needs water. And engineering has provided a solution to ensure that there's water all year round. So the collaboration is between the engineers, the government, then the marginalized communities. Let's know what they need. Let's know what they want. Then we can channel the solutions to them. So that speaks to the collaboration I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So now, okay, no problem. Just a few more.
So besides that collaboration, we'll talk about capacity building, because when we provide these solutions, it's important that people know how to use these solutions. I saw a video some time ago when some communities were damaging the solar panels that were provided for them for clean energy because they didn't understand the reason for it. So we have to educate these communities. Yes, we have provided a solution for you. They will need to create an enabling environment for the solutions to thrive via education, because one of the SDGs, like I mentioned, is to ensure that there's quality education. I think that's one of the SDGs. So we must educate these ones that, yes, solutions are available. This is how to make use of the solution. So when we know their needs, provide solutions, we also let them know that this is how to use solutions to the benefit of your community. Because at the end of the day, we have to carry everybody along, including the communities that are termed marginalized.
All right, thank you so much. So now let's look at, now we've spoken a bit about the issues that marginalized communities face. And now let's go to the rise, because there's, of course, there's still a rise in urbanization in Africa. And in Nigeria, for instance, when you look at cities like Lagos, which has become so congested. And for instance, when you talk Lagos, you can't speak about Lagos without talking about the traffic in Lagos, of course, because of that high rise in urbanization. The question now is, with all of this that's happening there, with a lot of looking at the fact that we're going towards sustainable development, but it seems like it's a lot slower in those kind of places. So like I mentioned, the issue of the traffic there, there's very poor road networks in Lagos. So what kind of innovative engineering strategies do we need in those kind of places to ensure that we're able to build and ensure a sustainable and a smart city development? So in places that there's rise in urbanization and we need to put into consideration all of those different factors, what kind of strategies are in place to ensure that, you know, they are able to build a smart city that's not just urbanized but is also sustainable? Because of the amount of people there, even aside the poor road networks, there's a lot of pollution, you know, on every aspect. So in what role would engineering play in addressing issues like that in cities that are of that kind of dynamic?
Okay, the solutions are there. It's just for us to deploy them. Talking about, as we speak, you know that traffic will be on the road and the sea and all that. So there are solutions to ensure that traffic management are top notch in such a way that it doesn't hinder, development. How do we do one? One of the ways to do this is to ensure that you have proper road networks. The civil engineer, the structural engineers can build bridges, can build more road networks so that the congested areas can have alternative routes. So you will agree with me that road construction is the core of an engineering, discipline. So we must create alternative routes so that we can decongest these areas that have high traffic. We can also deploy technology to ensure that when, for example, you are driving, you will know that this area is congested. You can have you have technologies to tell you that this area, for example, is congested. I can use this alternative route so that I will not have myself, locked down in that traffic. So the technology is available. You can sit here and know where the traffic is in Lagos right now by using, technology that's available that engineers have provided. You can also create, mass transit system. Engineers are developing railways that are faster, even faster than what we usually used to have. Engineers can create buses that can convey people communally instead of everybody driving his or her cars. We can create rooms where we have bigger vehicles that put vehicles, full vans that can move people from one location to the other. So there's provision to create more roads, more road networks to decongest the areas that are highly populated or that have more vehicular movement by creating more roads, create more bridges, create more alternative routes. That is one solution that I know that that engineers can provide. We have more roads. We can deploy more facilities on the sea. People can use the sea to go to wherever they want to go because Lagos, as I mentioned, has waterways. So we can deploy that strategy too. We can create more alternative routes to the river. We can move from the mainland to the island, as the case may be. So these are solutions that engineers are providing. So it's there for the government to leverage on them, work with the engineers, and find out alternative ways to make life much more easier, for the populace or the people who live around. So the infrastructural development is actually one of the things that engineers ensure that they bring. So from farming to because besides moving people from place to place, goods have to also move from place to place. So we have to also create that route. Railways can be, is another alternative route. So besides using the road, we can use the rails, we can use the sea, then of course, we can use the air. So the technology is available, the solutions are there. So if we leverage all of this, from the land to the sea to the air to the railways, we can make alternative routes available for people, in the area you just mentioned. So they are all available. Engineers have provided solutions in all these areas. All we need is just improve on them, leverage on these solutions, and make life much more better for everyone.
All right. So now when we talk of sustainable development, especially we talks on transition to fossil fuels and all of that, people would perceive it as a trade-off between economic growth and environmental sustainability. And so now the question is, I mean, as an engineer, how do you see a balance between these two priorities in terms of trying to ensure that, we're able to grow and boost the economy, which is important, especially in a continent like Africa. So, and we're still ensuring that while doing that, there's still environmental sustainability. So, how can we have our engineers balance these two priorities to ensure that we can work hand in hand with these two?
Wow, that is a very good question, and thank you for bringing that to the fore. Before now, you see people trying to create development and trade it for the environmental,
Yeah.
so it is important that we as engineers, as you strive to ensure that there's infrastructure development, you don't jeopardize, the environment, because sustainability speaks to ensuring that whatever solutions or innovations you are bringing to the fore as an engineer, you don't jeopardize the future of both people and environment. So there's no one we are
Exactly.
trading for the other one, because at the end of the day, the infrastructure is supposed to ensure that there's economic growth and the environment is sustainable. So it is not advisable, or it's not the practice of engineering to trade anyone for the other. All of them are good. There's economic growth, which is good. Our environment needs to be sustained, which is also good. In fact, there's this thing that we do, that even if you are bringing down a tree because you want to build an industry, probably refinery, petrochemical company, a fertilizer company, a motor assembly company, whatever it is, if you bring down any facility, or you clear an environment to build your industry for economic growth, you should be able to replant some of those trees. You shouldn't damage the ecosystem because you are bringing economic growth. So there's no trade-off for anyone. In fact, if you bring down a tree, there's this material I was reading, you have to plant at least 3 more so that you sustain the environment. So it is important that we understand as engineers, and everybody knows that we are not trading one for the other. No, economic growth is good. Sustainability is good. Infrastructural development is good. No one should be traded for the other. That is what I believe, and that is what we advocate. If you notice, what we tell some of the younger engineers, whatever project, whatever department you are, whatever solution you are providing, whatever innovation you are bringing, sustainability must be key. We are not trading economic development for any of them. So we must strive to ensure that there's infrastructure. We must strive to ensure that there's economic growth. I must strive to sustain the environment. No one should be traded for the other. That is our belief, and that's what we do. And you see that you see these days that people are ensuring that we reduce on fossil fuel and go for renewable energy. So even if you are saying you want to provide solution for the economy, you want to provide energy solution, for example, you shouldn't provide energy at the expense of the environment. You shouldn't trade the environment because you want to provide energy. So even if you are providing power, for example, you shouldn't give us so much pollution that at the end of the day we have power and we have pollution. No one should be traded for the other. That is what we believe, and that is what you see us talk about carbon capture, see us talk about net zero, you see us talk about moving from fossil fuel to renewable energy. All is to ensure that as you cause economic development, as you bring growth, you are not jeopardizing the future of anyone, both plants and animals, human being inclusive. So that is it.
All right, thank you so much. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll look at how far we've come in order to, in the engineering sector rather, in looking at how much we have access to infrastructure projects and that are inclusive and equitable. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. You're still watching Policy on the Go, coming to you from Gringo TV. So I'll come back to you now, Nelson. We're still looking at how much the engineering sector is doing in terms of ensuring that we're able to achieve sustainable development in Africa, especially. So now I want to ask Nelson, looking at the engineering sector, in assessing it, how far would you say the sector has come in terms of ensuring access to infrastructure that is inclusive and equitable, particularly for the marginalized communities that we spoke about earlier? So what more needs to be done, or how much has been done in assessment for you to be able to say, okay, we have done well, and this is what we have in place, especially for the people that are in communities that are usually marginalized, and that is the remote communities, for instance?
Engineering is you well. Unfortunately, the satellite has been beamed on more on the cities than on the rural areas, the remote
Yeah.
communities. But like I said earlier, it's important that we know the needs of these communities. They are marginalized because solutions are not getting to them as required. They could be health needs, they could be environmental needs, they could be social needs, they could be economic and agricultural needs, they could be security needs in these communities. So do we have solutions for all of them? Because the truth is that solutions we have for the city are solutions we could also deploy in the marginalized communities. Power challenges are in the cities. Power challenges are in the marginalized communities. Security challenges are in the city. Security challenges are in the marginalized. So we just need to deploy some of these solutions we provided. Infrastructure deficits, as it is in the city, road network, internet provision, education, and all that, we provided them for the cities. Don't forget that the places we call cities today were once local communities. It was
True.
development that was deployed by engineering and
Yeah.
other sectors that made them cities. So whatever we did to transform them as engineers from the local marginalized communities that they were to what they are now as cities, we can also do, in the marginalized communities. So one of them is to know their needs and prioritize them. A city that is a marginalized community that is into agriculture might need things to ensure that they have fertilizer, which engineers are providing, could need irrigation facilities, could need healthcare, it could be schools. Telemedicine is available now, that you can be in a marginalized community and somebody in the city can attend to you. Currently, I'm not where you are, but we are talking. So internet and engineering solutions are available to reach these people, know what their needs are, develop affordable solutions for them. It can be in pockets, and you start from somewhere. So one of the ways you need to address their issues, to let them know that yes, we have solutions for these things. Or the people who are into drafting and ensuring that their policies to attend to these needs should also know that solutions are available. We all know that we have solutions in the power sector. We are moving gradually from fossil fuel to CNG, to solar panel, to wind panel, to hydro electricity. So we have all this available. So communities that don't have electricity, for example, you can let them know that yes, you have a lot of sunlight in marginalized communities. You can convert this energy to give you power. You can start with 1 bulb, 2 bulbs, 3 bulbs. You can start with powering their submersible pump to provide water for them. You can start with providing, affordable education for these people. So engineers have made sure that even in the educational sector, we have moved from local teaching aids to teaching that you can connect from your village and get a degree in the city. So these solutions are available. So we need to also let them know that we have these solutions. I know people who are in one location and getting education from a different location. So internet is available. Engineers have made this things. So we make these solutions known to them that yes, we know you are marginalized, but all the things that will transform you from this local state to a city center or the city, they are all available. So these infrastructures have to be deployed to these areas to transform those cities, these marginalized communities, to city centers. So these things are available. From waste management, so there's a lot that is happening. You go to these cities and you see that they don't have a proper management system, they have pollution and all that. Some of them cannot even know that you can use biodigester to have gas, cooking gas. for cooking. So these solutions are all available from our engineering portal to every community and every city. So these things are there. We can create networks for
Yeah.
them to communicate, move them from 3G to 4G to 5G. Technology is available. You go to some villages, you see that you cannot even make a call. You cannot come online. And we know that in the cities, masks can be mounted and have network to these people. So the mask is available. So what we need is the will to ensure that the solutions that we're enjoying in the city is moved, to these communities so that they can have that equity that the SDG speaks to. There's no inequality. If anybody they see that can have this, the people in the communities can also have this. So the solutions are available, and I know we all know that they are available. It's just for us to ensure that the mechanism to deploy it is on ground so that everyone can have it, and have it affordable.
Yeah, that's very true. Of course, you spoke of that. The major issue is not the availability, but the deployment. So if we agree that the issue is that okay, there is no proper deployment into these places, and you also made mention of the will to get these things done in those places. Do you think that these has anything to do with the government that we have in place? Would you say that they are not as committed as to better integrating these solutions into these particular places, especially towards sustainable development? So in deployment of these solutions that we have, what do you think the government in themselves, they're not doing as much as they need to do? And if so, what do they need to do better to ensure that we have the solutions reach the people that need it the most?
Wow. That is a very good one, and it's dear to the core of SDG. If you look at SDG 16, that's Sustainable Development Goal 16, it speaks to strong institutions. Government as an institution, every institution has a role to play. I have been able to enumerate the solutions that engineers are bringing to the table to transform these communities, to these marginal communities, to the real city communities that we are seeing. Now, what the government needs to do is to develop policy framework, long-term policy framework that will continually move these technologies from where it was to where it should be. I mentioned energy, for example. I mentioned water supply, for example. I mentioned internet availability, for example. I mentioned road network, for example. It's the same energy that government is using to build networks, road networks, build bridges, build railways. It should pass through some of these communities and develop these communities to build schools. Some of these institutions can be cited in these communities and development can begin to spring forth. We spoke to infrastructure, we spoke to economic development. One of the ways to do this is to have that policy framework and says that in the next 4 or 5 years, we want to transform each community, providing this infrastructure. So the every sector, especially the institutions like the government institutions, non-governmental organizations, non-profit organizations, should be able to say, this is how we want to transform this community. There should be a particular framework to cut the solutions to get to the lowest people in every community. So one of the things we must do is to create that policy framework to make sure that every time a budget is drawn, every time money is being released, people are evaluating and ensuring that this money is utilized as it should be. Every community gets what, when, and how. So that way, we will begin to transform our communities from whatever it is now to where we want it to be. And it is possible. It is possible. I just gave an example of how the cities we call today were once marginalized, and today they are big and doing well. So it just requires that willpower, that policy framework, to have strong institutions so that peace, justice, and equity will also be seen in the marginalized communities. That's the way we can ensure that there is no poverty, there is zero hunger, there is good health and well-being for everybody. Because when there's this development, I tell you, hunger will go, poverty will reduce. And you see that at the end of the day, a lot of the SDGs that I mentioned in the 17 will be addressed gradually. So it takes the willpower, it takes a framework, it takes a gradual process. But we must start from somewhere. We must not keep them marginalized. It is getting too long because solutions are here, and we know they are here. Before now, you see houses that use only, public power. But today, you can see houses that have three sources of power. You use public power, you have your fuel generator, and you have your solar panel. 3 solutions are now available from where it used to be only one. So these solutions that we are using in our cities can be deployed also in the marginalized communities. They are all available. Create the transport network, provide storage facilities, because most of the food we eat in the city comes from these marginalized communities. Some of them, before they move from their location to the cities, are damaged because some of them are perishable. So
Yeah.
if you create solutions, that will ensure that they are stored before we can move them to the cities, it helps them also. The wastage will reduce. A lot of the money that is incurred in all this waste will be utilized, for other things. So these are the things that are available. If we go to the community and find out this is what they require, government should be able to deploy the engineering solutions. We are available. Engineers are available, and we have created solutions that we are using in the city that we can deploy to these marginalized communities. And I know we have done it. We can do it in any location we find ourselves. So the
All right.
policy
Thank you
framework
so
is
much,
key.
Nelson. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So as we're wrapping up the program now, just give us your final thoughts as the world celebrates Engineering Day. Although it was last week, anyways, but just your message, especially to aspiring engineers. What do they need to do better? What does the education system need to do better, especially as well in the proper orientation of engineers? So just your final thoughts as we wrap up the program.
Wow, this is one area that I like so much. What I do almost every week is to speak to young engineers. Growing up as a younger engineer, I never had this privilege, to be encouraged. So I want to speak to all of them to see how their solutions and innovation can be sustainable. The team is unleash the engineering, and see how it can advance the SDG. So the power of engineering is huge. And in the course of this conversation, we have seen that there's a lot that engineering can do to ensure that all the SDGs, can be attained or achieved. So the young engineer should keep bringing out solutions with sustainability in view. No engineer should think of bringing a solution that will be a threat to our ecosystem, that will be a threat to our environment, that will be a threat to whatever it is that mankind leverages on. Engineers should think circular economy. How do I reuse this? How do I reduce this waste? How do I recycle this waste so that my solution can be sustainable? How do I use less energy to produce my output so that we have less heat in the atmosphere? How do I reduce my CO2 emission so that I can get carbon credit? Engineers should think outside the box and ensure that their solutions are sustainable. That is one. Two, they should collaborate. No engineering is final. A civil engineer will need an electrical engineer. An electrical engineer will need a chemical engineer. A chemical engineer will need a structural engineer, because at the end of the day, your equipment that you have designed must rest on something. We all need power. So you cannot say because you build the fertilizer plant, you don't need an electrical engineer. He has to power your plant, isn't it? He has to create the panel that you require to make sure that your controls are working. So that collaboration is key. Nobody is an island. So we should open our hearts and collaborate with all the engineering department, because all the faculty of engineering, there's a lot. There's a marine engineer, there's a civil engineer, there's an electrical engineer, there's a mechanical engineer, there's a chemical engineer, a petroleum engineer, there's a petrochemical engineer. So it's fast. So we must think collaboration so that all our designs, all our innovations are working towards the same goal, that is to make sure that our environment is sustainable. That is true. Other thing I want to see is that they will embrace young engineers. Sometimes they feel and they get discouraged. But it's important that you get discouraged. That's what it is. If you get an invention and it fails, try again. There are other ways to do it. That's why I mentioned collaboration. You can ask a civil engineer, you can ask a senior engineer. I did this and it didn't work out well. My results are not tallying. You share your failures, and by sharing it, you can get solutions. So young engineers should not be afraid to fail. As I was growing up as a younger engineer, from my researches that I've done, I know there are some things I did that were not correct, but I owned up and I told the senior ones, and they were able to help me, correct them, and I got better. So younger engineers, your innovations might not come out fine at the onset, but keep pushing. Leverage on technology, leverage on softwares, leverage on the experienced ones around you, and you must get better, because it's getting better now. The internet is everywhere. People are open to share knowledge. You can use facilities online to get solutions. So open up to your failures, ask questions, and you get better for it. Then keep your passion. Keep your passion. Be proud to be an engineer. Be proud to provide solutions. Don't be intimidated. Keep your passion high. You knew what drove you into doing engineering. Keep that passion high. Once your passion is high, your interest is high, you will always scale through. That is one. Then lastly, I want to say you should stay inspired. You should be inspired. Be happy that you provide solutions. Be happy to be an engineer, because that is why we're celebrating today, as what engineering do. So that is what I want to say. They celebrate your small successes. You might be making small success here and there. So as you make one success, you get an award here. Celebrate yourself. Be happy to be an engineer, and the world is going to be a better place for us. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you so much, Engineer Dr. Nelson, for joining in on the program. It's been a very wonderful conversation. What is very clear is that engineering is not just a technical field like we've seen, but it's a driving force behind sustainable development, from bridging Africa's infrastructure gaps to building smarter and more resilient cities, and of course, balancing economic growth with environmental sustainabilities. We have the engineers at the forefront of creating solutions for the future. But to truly unleash the power of engineers, like our guests have said, we need more than just innovation. We need stronger policies and better investment, of course, in the engineering education, and a commitment from every sector to inclusivity so that no community is left behind. So as we wrap up today's program, let's not just celebrate engineering once in a year, but let's recognize and support it as a critical pillar of sustainable development. That's a wrap on the program for today. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tonya Gubanjo. It's bye for now.